Ethan Drake had always believed that life on Viridian 9 would be predictable. A human colony on a distant planet, rich with glowing forests and floating rock formations, it promised adventure and discovery, but not surprises like the one he faced now. It had started as a regular evening in the observatory. Ethan, a young human scientist with sharp curiosity and a restless mind, had stayed late to monitor the alien signals that pulsed through the skies. His colleagues had long left, tired and eager for the warmth of their sleeping quarters, but Ethan's fascination with the alien frequency had kept him at the large glass window that overlooked the glowing forests below. The signals were strange, pulses of light and sound that seemed to follow no known pattern. Ethan adjusted his instruments, taking notes, cross-checking frequencies, and trying to make sense of what the aliens, whoever they were trying to communicate. His pen scratched across the paper as his mind raced, calculating possibilities, imagining alien worlds, and dreaming of discoveries that could change humanity's understanding of the universe. Then, exhaustion caught him. Ethan leaned back in his chair, rubbing his eyes. The observatory hummed quietly, the soft lights reflecting off the glass panels. Just a short break, he muttered. And before he knew it, sleep had taken him entirely. He did not wake up in his familiar room. Instead, he opened his eyes to a world that felt both magical and terrifying. Soft, glowing light filled the chamber, casting rainbow-like reflections across walls that shimmered as if made of liquid crystal. The ceiling curved high above, dotted with luminous orbs that seemed to float in midair, each glowing with a gentle pulse. Ethan sat up, rubbing his head. Where am I?" he whispered to himself, the words sounding strangely small in the vast space. Before him stood a figure that made his heart skip a beat. She was taller than any human he had ever seen, with skin that gleamed like polished pearl, and eyes that shimmered with colors he could not name. Her presence was commanding, almost overwhelming. Yet there was an elegance to her, a grace that made him want to step closer even as fear rooted him to the floor. "Ethan Drake," a voice spoke, not with sound, but directly inside his mind. The voice was clear, calm, and filled with authority. "You have been chosen," Ethan froze. His mind raced. Chosen? For what? Who? What are you? "I am Zarelia," the figure continued, her eyes locking onto his. "Queen of Viridian, and you are my mate." Ethan's stomach dropped. His mind felt like it had spun too fast. "Mate? What do you mean?" You are bound to me," Zarelia said gently, raising her hand. In an instant, a ceremonial collar appeared around Ethan's neck, glowing softly. A band of symbols engraved in it shifted, forming shapes that seemed to move like tiny stars. "The ritual has been completed. You are wed." Ethan staggered back. "Wed? How? I can't. This has to be a mistake." Zarelia's expression softened slightly. "It is not a mistake, human. Ancient protocols guide the selection of a mate. Sometimes it draws from other worlds to ensure the strength and survival of this planet. You have been chosen because you possess qualities we admire: intelligence, courage, and adaptability." He shook his head, trying to comprehend. The human mind could not easily grasp the customs of a species that had existed for millennia. The air shimmered with energy, a subtle reminder that this was no dream, no hallucination. This was real. Ethan took a deep breath. I don't even know what to say." "You will learn," Zarelia replied. "Come, it is time for you to see the Citadel." The human followed cautiously, each step echoing softly against the crystalline floor. The corridors seemed to pulse with life, walls bending slightly as if they were breathing. Strange alien symbols floated in the air, illuminating the path. Occasionally a creature passed, a being with 4 limbs and 2 wings glowing faintly, observing him with curious, intelligent eyes. None made a sound, yet Ethan felt as if the room itself was alive. Finally, they entered a vast chamber that made Ethan stop in awe. The ceiling stretched impossibly high, adorned with floating platforms connected by beams of soft light. Aliens of all shapes moved gracefully across the room, talking or perhaps communicating, through the same telepathic connections Zarelia had used with him. Ethan's heart pounded. All of them are here?" he whispered. "Yes," Zarelia said, walking beside him. "This is the heart of our civilization, and you are now part of it." Whispers spread through the crowd of aliens, and heads turned toward him. Some looked curious, others wary. Ethan realized he was not only a guest but also an outsider, suddenly elevated to the highest honor in this world. One of the aliens, tall and slender with emerald-colored skin, stepped forward. "The human, will he adapt?" it asked in the soft musical telepathy that all Viridionians seemed to share. Zarelia's gaze softened. "He is human. He has qualities that even we have not mastered. Let us see how he learns." Ethan swallowed hard. His mind raced with questions. How do I survive here? How do I communicate? What if I fail? Zarelia noticed his hesitation. "Do not fear, Ethan, you are not alone. Bonded insight will allow us to share thoughts and intentions. If you wish, you can begin learning now." The words were strange, almost overwhelming. Ethan closed his eyes and focused. Slowly, a connection formed, not with sound, but with understanding. He could feel Zarelia's thoughts as if they were faint ripples touching the edges of his mind. Thoughts of strategy, of peace, of observation, of hope. For the first time, he realized the depth of his predicament and its possibilities. Yet fear remained. Ethan had been thrust into a world where he did not belong. One misstep could alienate him forever. But another thought sparked inside him. If he could learn, if he could understand, if he could use his human creativity and logic, perhaps he could thrive. Zarelia guided him to a small chamber lined with devices he did not recognize. Some seemed to respond to thought, others to touch. "These are tools of our civilization," she explained. "In time you will learn their purpose. For now, rest. You will need your strength. Tomorrow the council will meet and you will present yourself as the Queen's mate." Ethan nodded, unsure if he could sleep. The chamber was beautiful, almost hypnotic, but the reality of his situation weighed heavily on him. He lay on a soft, glowing platform, staring at the ceiling as it shimmered with impossible colors. "I am married to an alien queen," he thought, shaking his head in disbelief. "And I have no idea what comes next." Outside, the city of Viridian pulsed with life. Ethan could sense it, not with his eyes, but with the faint energy that filled the planet itself. It was alive, intelligent, waiting, and somehow he was now a part of it. As sleep finally came, it was not restful. It was filled with visions of alien landscapes, of strange machines, of creatures moving in ways that defied human physics. Yet there was also a sense of anticipation, a spark of possibility. Ethan Drake had always wanted adventure. He had always dreamed of discovery. He had never imagined that adventure would find him while he slept, binding him to a queen from another world, forcing him to survive and thrive in a civilization far beyond human understanding. And yet, in the deepest corners of his mind, he felt a flicker of determination. He would learn. He would adapt. He would survive. For the first night alone on an alien planet, in the glow of a civilization that could crush him with a thought, Ethan Drake closed his eyes with a single, firm resolve. He would not fail. The stars outside shimmered. The alien city pulsed, and the bond between human and queen, unlikely as it seemed, had only just begun. Ethan Drake woke to a soft glowing light filling his chamber. The shimmer of the alien city outside filtered through the translucent walls, painting patterns on the floor like liquid rainbows. For a moment he lay still, trying to make sense of the events of the night before. He had been married, wed to an alien queen, Zarelia, a ruler of a civilization far beyond human imagination. The memory alone made his pulse quicken. Before he could dwell on it too long, the door of the chamber opened without a sound. Zarelia appeared, her presence calm and commanding, yet strangely comforting. "Good morning, Ethan," she said telepathically, the voice echoing gently in his mind. "The council will convene soon. You must be present as the Queen's mate. It is time to understand your place here." Ethan swallowed hard. "Council?" he asked. "You mean the leaders of your people?" "Yes," Zarelia replied. "The Viridionians have governed with councils for centuries. They are wise but cautious. A human among us is unusual. Many will question you." Ethan rose from the glowing platform and followed her down the shimmering corridors. The walls bent slightly as they walked, reflecting their images like liquid mirrors. He tried not to let fear show, though every instinct screamed caution. Every alien he passed seemed to sense his difference, their curious eyes watching him with a mix of wonder and suspicion. When they entered the council hall, Ethan froze. The chamber was immense, filled with figures unlike anything he had ever seen. Some had multiple limbs, some floated, and others seemed almost translucent, glowing faintly from within. The air hummed with telepathic energy, a constant buzz of thought and intention that Ethan had only begun to grasp. Zorelia led him to a raised platform, signaling for him to stand beside her. The council turned their attention toward him. A chorus of thoughts, questions, and judgments washed over him like waves. One of the elders, a tall figure with silver-blue skin and luminous eyes, stepped forward. Its thought projected clearly into his mind. "Human, why is your queen bound to you? What can you offer us?" Ethan felt his pulse quicken. He had expected curiosity, but this was scrutiny unlike any he had faced. He took a deep breath. "I have to stay calm. I have to show them humans are more than they imagine. I am Ethan Drake," he began, speaking aloud even though the telepathic connection carried his words. "I am a scientist from Earth. I study life, energy, and intelligence. I may not understand everything about your world yet, but I am willing to learn. I can help." The council exchanged thoughts quickly, a flurry of silent conversation Ethan could barely follow. Zorelia placed a hand lightly on his arm, transmitting reassurance. "They will listen. Show them your mind, not just your words." Ethan nodded and focused, letting his human instincts guide him. "Your world is extraordinary," he continued. "I see wisdom and strength in your people, and I also see potential. Potential to combine what humans know with what you have achieved. Together, we could do things neither species could do alone." A ripple of surprise passed through the council. Ethan could feel it, a subtle change in thought, curiosity replacing suspicion. Some of the more conservative members shifted uneasily. A few, however, seemed intrigued. "You speak boldly," the silver-blue elder said, its voice like a soft hum in his mind. "Boldness is not always valued. Humans are fragile. How do we know you will endure?" Ethan met its gaze, steady despite his nerves. "I am not fragile," he said firmly. "Humans adapt. We survive by thinking differently, by solving problems creatively. I may be alone here, but I can learn, and I can help your people thrive." A murmur spread through the council. One of the younger members, a slender being with emerald skin, seemed pleased. "Interesting. The human speaks with courage and logic. Perhaps there is more to him than the queen chose at random." Zorelia's voice reached him, gentle and encouraging. "Show them your mind, Ethan. They will respect intelligence even if they doubt strength." Over the next several hours, Ethan was introduced to the complexity of alien politics. He learned that Viridionians valued order, knowledge, and foresight above all. Their society had survived millennia because their leaders made decisions based on careful observation and shared wisdom. Yet it was also rigid in ways that humans might find frustrating, protocols that seemed unnecessary, hierarchies that appeared absolute. Ethan noticed that while the aliens were advanced in technology and strategy, they had not faced challenges that required the kind of improvisation humans excel at. He realized quickly that his human creativity, coupled with his scientific knowledge, could be an asset in this world if he learned when and how to use it. After the council meeting, Zorelia guided him through the citadel. They passed vast chambers filled with alien technology that pulsed with energy. Machines seemed to respond to thought. Walls shimmered with dynamic data, and devices hovered in midair, waiting for interaction. "This is our society's strength," Zorelia explained. "But even here, we cannot foresee everything. Humans think differently. You may see solutions that we overlook." Ethan studied the devices with careful interest. He experimented pressing, twisting, and even speaking to some of the floating interfaces. Slowly, the machines responded, as if recognizing his understanding of logic and pattern. Zorelia watched silently, a hint of a smile in her expression. "You are learning quickly," she said. "I see the spark that drew me to choose you as my mate. Your mind is sharp and your courage is real." Ethan felt a mix of pride and anxiety. "This is beyond anything I imagined. I must prove myself, not just to survive, but to show that humans are capable." As they walked, a group of alien envoys approached. Their expressions were cautious. One of them, a four-limbed being with sapphire skin, projected a thought directly into Ethan's mind. "We have doubts. What if the human cannot meet the Queen's expectations?" Ethan focused, allowing his human resolve to come through. "I will not fail. I can think, I can adapt, and I can act. Trust me." The envoy paused, sensing the sincerity in his mind. Its posture relaxed slightly. Zorelia placed her hand gently on Ethan's back, reinforcing the connection. "Your courage is human. It is rare, and it is strong. Later, in a quiet chamber, Zerelia explained more about the political tension within her world. Some factions do not welcome a human mate, she said. They see you as a disruption, a threat to tradition. Others, however, are intrigued by what you could offer. New ideas, new strategies, ways to combine human and Viridionian intelligence. Ethan nodded slowly. So some want me gone and some want me to succeed? Exactly, she replied. You must navigate carefully. Your human mind can offer insight, but you must also respect our ways. Balance is key. He realized that survival here was not just about learning alien technology or politics. It was about strategy, observation, and courage. His human instincts, combined with his intelligence, could allow him not just to survive, but to thrive, even in this alien world. That evening, as he returned to his chamber, Ethan felt the weight of the situation pressing down on him. He was married to an alien queen, under the scrutiny of a civilization that had thrived for thousands of years. One misstep could ruin everything. Yet for the first time since awakening, he also felt something else. Possibility. He was human, yes, but humans had a unique strength, the ability to adapt, to think creatively, to face impossible odds and find solutions where others could not. Ethan Drake was alone in a strange world, married to a queen he barely knew, surrounded by beings who were centuries ahead of humanity. But he was not afraid. Not entirely. He had survived before in smaller ways. He had solved problems that seemed impossible. And now, faced with the challenge of alien politics, alien technology, and alien expectations, he felt a spark of determination he had never known. I will learn their ways. I will earn their respect. I will prove that humans are capable. As sleep finally claimed him that night, the glow of the citadel casting soft reflections across his chamber, Ethan dreamed not of fear but of strategy, of alliance, and of human ingenuity in a world that had never seen it before. Tomorrow the real challenge would begin. But for the first time he felt ready. Ethan Drake awoke with a sense of unease. The citadel was quiet, but the hum of alien energy filled the air like a living pulse. He could feel Zerelia's presence even before she entered his chamber. Her voice reached him directly in his mind, calm but firm. Today you face the first trial, Ethan. It is a tradition for every mate, chosen or born, to prove their worth. This is not just a test of strength, it is a test of mind, courage, and adaptability. Ethan sat up slowly, his mind racing. A trial? He whispered aloud, though the words seemed small in the vastness of the chamber. I thought this was just ceremonial. Zerelia's mental voice reassured him. Ceremony and tradition are not the same. This trial will determine how you are seen by the council and by my people. You will face challenges, yes, but you are not without guidance. Trust yourself, Ethan, trust your mind. He rose, swallowing his nervousness. Humans had always thrived when the odds were stacked against them, and this would be no different. If he could survive this trial, he would prove that humanity had value even in a world as advanced and alien as Viridian. The chamber transformed before his eyes. Walls shifted, light beams rearranged, and a platform of glowing energy appeared in the center. Zerelia's gaze softened. Step forward. The trial begins now. Ethan took a deep breath and stepped onto the platform. Instantly, the surroundings changed. He found himself in a forest that glowed with a strange blue light. Alien trees towered above him, their leaves shimmering like silver glass. The ground was soft, almost alive beneath his feet. He could hear creatures moving in the distance, creatures that were not friendly, he was sure of it. A voice echoed in his mind, calm but commanding. Survive. Adapt. Learn. The trial is not meant to kill. It is meant to teach. Suddenly, from the shadows, a creature lunged at him. It was large, with multiple limbs and glowing eyes, its movements fast and precise. Ethan's instincts kicked in. He dodged, rolled, and grabbed a nearby branch, using it to block and redirect the creature's attack. His human reflexes, combined with his understanding of physics, allowed him to anticipate its movements. The creature paused, confused by his unexpected strategy. Ethan realized quickly that brute strength would not be enough. He had to think just as humans always did when faced with impossible odds. Using his knowledge of balance, momentum, and timing, he led the creature into a trap he created with fallen branches and energy pulses from the ground. It was stunned, giving him a chance to move forward. Another challenge appeared. a river of liquid light, flowing with an almost magnetic pull. Ethan paused, examining the current, measuring its speed and calculating the best point to cross. Using a fallen log as a bridge, he leapt carefully, feeling the alien energy tug at him. One wrong step and he could be swept away, but he trusted his calculations and he crossed safely. Hours, or what felt like hours, passed as Ethan faced a series of trials. He encountered alien beasts, strange energy puzzles, and even simulations that tested his perception and memory. Each challenge was different, requiring not only courage but also the ability to adapt quickly. Where an alien might rely on sheer ability or centuries of training, Ethan relied on ingenuity, using tools, observations, and clever solutions. At one point, he reached a chamber filled with floating platforms over a bottomless void. A riddle appeared in glowing symbols. Move not only with strength but with understanding. Ethan studied the platforms carefully. He noticed subtle patterns in their movement. Timing his steps with precision, he leapt from platform to platform, adjusting mid-air with human agility. When he reached the other side, he realized that the trial had been testing not only his reflexes but also his ability to observe and learn, qualities humans had always excelled at. Finally, the last challenge appeared, a large alien guardian, towering over him with energy crackling around its body. It was intimidating, faster and stronger than anything Ethan had ever faced. But he did not panic. He remembered every lesson from before: observation, creativity, and courage. He noticed the Guardian's attacks followed a pattern, slight pauses that even the fastest aliens might overlook. Using these pauses, Ethan dodged and feinted, leading the Guardian into a trap of his own making. He used a combination of fallen debris and bursts of alien energy, manipulating the environment to his advantage. The Guardian, confused and disoriented, finally ceased its attack, acknowledging his victory. Ethan collapsed to his knees, breathing heavily. Sweat dripped down his forehead, but a spark of triumph shone in his eyes. He had done it, not by strength alone, but by thinking like a human, using intellect and courage together. The forest faded, and he found himself back on the glowing platform in the citadel. Zarellia stood before him, her expression unreadable for a moment, then softening. "You have done well, Ethan," she said. "Many of my people doubted a human could survive this trial. Yet you have not only survived, you have demonstrated qualities that even we admire. Courage, intelligence, and creativity. You have earned their respect." Even as he tried to catch his breath, Ethan noticed the reactions of the council members observing from above. Some looked astonished. Others, who had been skeptical, now seemed thoughtful, their mental chatter filled with reassessment. "You see," Zarellia continued, her eyes meeting his, "this trial is not about violence or dominance. It is about adaptation, understanding, and problem-solving. You human possess these qualities in ways many of us cannot. This is why you were chosen." Ethan felt a mix of pride and humility. He had never imagined being part of an alien civilization, let alone proving his worth to beings who had existed for millennia. Yet in that moment he realized something vital. Humans had a place in this universe, not through brute strength, not through raw power, but through ingenuity, courage, and the ability to adapt. As the council members approached to acknowledge his achievement, a few voices, though not spoken aloud, projected subtle challenges in his mind. "You may have survived, human, but your place here is still uncertain." Ethan met their thoughts with quiet confidence. "I am not here by accident. I will learn. I will adapt, and I will prove that humans are more than you imagine." Zarellia guided him away from the trial area to a chamber where alien scholars studied energy patterns and biological data. "Now," she said, "you will begin learning about our technologies. If your human mind continues to adapt and innovate, there is no limit to what you can achieve here." Ethan examined the devices with awe. Some responded to thought alone, others required precise gestures, and a few seemed to combine both. He began experimenting, applying his understanding of logic, observation, and trial and error. Slowly, patterns emerged. He realized he could manipulate energy flows, adjust simulations, and even suggest modifications to optimize efficiency. Zarellia watched, silently impressed. "Humans think differently," she said. "We are creatures of calculation and tradition. You see possibilities we overlook. This is why the Council will eventually accept you. Your mind is a bridge between our world and yours. Ethan smiled faintly, a spark of determination in his eyes. Then I have work to do, he said. I want to understand everything I can. Good, Zeralia replied. Your trial is over, but the real journey begins now. You must navigate not just these challenges, but the politics and expectations of my people. You will encounter opposition, but also allies. Remember, your strength is not only in your mind, but in your courage and creativity. Ethan nodded, feeling both exhaustion and exhilaration. For the first time, he sensed that he was not merely surviving this alien world. He was beginning to thrive in it. Humans had always adapted to the impossible, and here on Viridian 9, he had done it again. That night, as he returned to his chamber, the glowing city outside reflecting in his eyes, Ethan felt a profound sense of purpose. He had passed the first trial. He had demonstrated that humans, even far from Earth, could hold their own among beings far older and wiser than themselves. And for the first time, he understood the true meaning of his bond with Zeralia. It was not just ceremonial. It was an alliance, a partnership. Together, Human and Queen could shape the future of this world, and perhaps the future of the galaxy itself. Ethan Drake had survived the first trial. He had proven the worth of humanity in an alien society, and as he closed his eyes, he knew one thing with certainty. The trials ahead would be difficult, but he was ready. Because humans, when faced with the impossible, did not give up. They adapted, learned, and triumphed. The morning light of Viridian 9 filtered through the crystalline walls of the Citadel, casting soft rainbows across the floors. Ethan Drake awoke with a sense of purpose he had never felt before. The first trial was behind him, but he knew that the real challenges were just beginning. Alien politics were more complicated than any puzzle he had faced in his scientific work. Survival would require more than courage. It would demand intelligence, diplomacy, and strategy. Zeralia appeared at his chamber, radiant and poised. Today you will meet leaders of several factions, she said telepathically. They will test your insight and understanding. You must navigate carefully. Some will see you as a threat. Others may seek your assistance, Ethan nodded. I understand. I'll do my best. Do not underestimate your own abilities, Zeralia replied. You have qualities that many of my people lack. Use them wisely. He followed her through the Citadel, passing chambers of alien knowledge, energy manipulation labs, and halls filled with creatures that seemed more curious than hostile. As they moved, Ethan felt the subtle hum of alien energy around him. Every pulse seemed to carry thought, as if the city itself was alive, watching and evaluating him. The first faction they visited was composed of Viridionians who valued tradition above all else. Their leader, a tall being with skin like polished bronze and eyes glowing gold, regarded Ethan cautiously. Human, why should we trust you? Ethan stepped forward, focusing on clarity and honesty. I come not to disrupt your traditions, but to understand and learn from them. I am new here, yes, but humans have always thrived by adapting. I wish to contribute, to offer solutions where my knowledge can help your people. The leader's thoughts were sharp, probing. Can a human truly understand us? Ethan held his ground, projecting calm confidence. I may not be like you, but I can think. I can solve problems. I can help. After a pause, the leader's mental voice softened. Perhaps there is value in his mind, observation and logic, different from ours, but not weak. Encouraged by this, Ethan continued through the Citadel, meeting factions that ranged from scholars obsessed with knowledge, to warriors who valued strength and precision, to diplomats who measured every word and gesture. Each encounter was a test, though not always obvious. Questions were posed, puzzles were offered, and subtle challenges were placed before him. At one point, a group of scholars presented a device that manipulated energy in ways humans had never seen. The patterns were intricate, almost overwhelming. Ethan studied the device carefully, noting the flow of energy, the response to touch, and the subtle vibrations in the air. He experimented cautiously, testing one small adjustment after another. Finally, he discovered a way to improve the energy efficiency of the device without damaging it. The scholars observed, their thoughts filled with surprise and curiosity. One of them communicated directly to him. Human, your approach is unorthodox, yet effective. We had not anticipated this. Ethan smiled faintly. Sometimes the solution is in seeing possibilities that are hidden. That's what humans do. The scholars nodded, impressed. Zarelia's presence beside him radiated approval. See? You are already bridging the gap between our worlds. Next came the warrior faction. They tested physical skill, reflexes, and strategy. Ethan had no experience with their combat techniques, but he relied on observation and quick thinking. By analyzing patterns in their movements, predicting responses, and using the environment to his advantage, he completed the challenges without injury. His human ingenuity allowed him to turn unfamiliar situations into opportunities. The final encounter was with the diplomats, whose challenge was subtle, persuasion, and understanding. They asked questions about ethics, resource management, and the balance of power. Ethan listened carefully, considered his words, and responded thoughtfully. He showed that humans could be creative negotiators, that our species valued fairness, adaptability, and long-term thinking. By the end of the day, Ethan was exhausted, but he had achieved something remarkable. The factions that had doubted him now regarded him with cautious respect. They saw that humans, while physically weaker than Viridionians, possessed intelligence, adaptability, and the ability to innovate. Zarelia led him to a quiet chamber overlooking the glowing forests. "You have done well," she said. "Today you showed not just courage but insight. You are beginning to bridge the two worlds. The Council will see this, and slowly even the most skeptical factions will recognize the value of humans." Ethan stared out at the forest, the alien trees glowing softly beneath the twin moons. "It's incredible," he said. "I never imagined I could do this, that humans could do this." "You underestimated yourself," Zarelia said. "Many do. Humans have qualities that even we cannot fully understand. Your creativity, your courage, your ability to adapt, these are your strengths. Use them wisely." As they spoke, a sudden alarm echoed through the citadel. Lights pulsed red and the hum of energy shifted. Zarelia's eyes narrowed. "A rogue faction," she said. "They do not accept the bond between human and queen. They are attempting to sabotage our progress." Ethan felt a surge of adrenaline. "What can I do?" he asked. "Follow me," Zarelia said. "We must stabilize the energy grids and prevent disruption. Your understanding of logic and problem-solving may be crucial." They raced through the citadel, navigating corridors and energy conduits. A group of saboteurs had tampered with the main power nodes, creating instability in the city's energy flow. If left unchecked, it could have caused catastrophic failures. Ethan examined the nodes quickly, assessing the situation. Alien technology was unfamiliar, but the principles of energy, balance, and cause and effect remained the same. He coordinated with Zarelia, combining his human reasoning with her telepathic guidance. Together, they stabilized the energy flow, rerouting power and neutralizing the sabotage. The saboteurs retreated when confronted, realizing that the human and queen were not so easily stopped. Ethan felt a mix of exhaustion and triumph. He had not only survived political challenges and trials, but he had also proven his value in a crisis. Zarelia placed a hand on his shoulder, a gesture of reassurance and pride. "You see, Ethan? Your presence here is not just ceremonial. Humans have the ability to think differently, to see possibilities we cannot. That is why you were chosen. That is why you matter." Ethan nodded, feeling the truth of her words. In every challenge, in every faction he faced, humans had demonstrated strength, not in muscle, but in mind. He realized that this partnership was not just about survival or political strategy. It was about building a bridge, combining the best qualities of two species to create something stronger than either alone. That night, Ethan returned to his chamber, weary but determined. He looked out at the alien city, glowing softly beneath the twin moons, and thought about the challenges yet to come. There would be more tests, more trials, more political intrigue, but he was ready. Humans had always risen to challenges, no matter how impossible. And here, on Viridian 9, he was beginning to prove that humanity could not only survive, but thrive. As sleep came, Ethan allowed himself a small smile. The bond with Zarelia was growing stronger, not just as mates, but as partners in leadership, strategy, and innovation. Together, they could face any threat, solve any problem, and show the Viridionians and perhaps the galaxy that humans were a force to be reckoned with. Tomorrow would bring new trials, new challenges, and new opportunities. But Ethan Drake was no longer simply a human far from Earth. He was a bridge between worlds, a symbol of what humanity could achieve when courage, intelligence, and creativity were combined. And in the quiet of the glowing citadel, he made a promise to himself he would not fail. Not for Xerelia, not for the humans on Viridian 9, and not for the potential of the galaxy itself. Humans had always adapted. Humans had always overcome. And Ethan Drake, now wed to the alien queen, would ensure that they thrived, even in the heart of an alien civilization. The twin moons of Viridian 9 hung low over the glowing forests, casting their silver light across the citadel. Ethan Drake stood at the edge of the observation platform, his mind racing. For weeks he and Xerelia had faced challenges, learned alien technologies, and navigated the complex politics of the Viridionians. They had begun to bridge the gap between human and alien understanding, but now a greater threat loomed. Reports had come in from the outer colonies, a rogue fleet of alien ships, larger and more powerful than any seen before, was approaching Viridian 9. They sought to overthrow the Queen, disrupt the fragile alliances, and destroy any hope of unity between the humans and Viridionians. Ethan turned to Xerelia, who stood beside him, calm and poised. Her eyes, glowing softly in the moonlight, met his. "We must act quickly," she projected telepathically. "This is a threat to everything we have built."
"Can we defend the planet?"
Ethan nodded firmly. "We can. We have the technology, the knowledge, and the people, and we have each other." Xerelia smiled faintly. "Yes. Together we are stronger." They moved quickly through the citadel, coordinating defenses. The city's energy grids, which Ethan had helped stabilize during the sabotage attempt, were ready to be deployed in full force. Alien fleets and ground defenses were alerted. But the challenge was immense. The rogue fleet outnumbered them, and their strategies were unpredictable. Ethan studied the star maps, analyzing trajectories, speeds, and energy signatures. His human mind worked quickly, calculating probabilities, potential weak points, and unexpected advantages. He realized that brute force alone would not win this battle. They needed strategy, creativity, and precise timing. Xerelia watched him, impressed by his focus. "You are human, yet your mind sees possibilities that even we have missed. This is why you were chosen." The first wave of the fleet arrived with a sudden flash in the sky, massive ships glowing with energy weapons. Ethan coordinated the defense, combining Viridionian shields with human calculated maneuvers. "Focus fire on the lead ships," he instructed, "but keep the energy grid active. If they overwhelm us, we need a fallback plan." Xerelia relayed his strategy to the fleet commanders, and the Viridionians adapted quickly. Their ships moved with precision, using energy pulses to deflect attacks while targeting critical points on the enemy vessels. Ethan monitored every movement, recalculating trajectories in real time, suggesting adjustments that the aliens might not have considered. The battle raged for hours. Explosions lit up the skies, and the ground trembled with the impact of energy strikes. Ethan's heart pounded, but he stayed focused. He observed patterns in the enemy attacks, predicting their moves before they happened. Using his knowledge of physics and strategy, he suggested feints and diversions that allowed Viridionian ships to strike effectively. At one point, a massive rogue ship broke through the outer defenses, heading straight for the citadel. Xerelia's eyes widened, but Ethan remained calm. "We can't destroy it directly," he said, "but we can use the energy grid to redirect its momentum. Aim the shields to create a feedback loop. It will be forced to retreat or crash harmlessly." With careful coordination, they executed the plan. The rogue ship collided with a redirected energy pulse, spinning out of control before crashing into the empty plains below. The first major threat was neutralized. Xerelia placed a hand on Ethan's shoulder, her touch grounding him amid the chaos. "Your human intuition saved many lives today. The fleet sees our strength, and your leadership inspires both humans and Viridionians." But the battle was not over. Another wave approached, faster and more coordinated than the first. Ethan adjusted their strategy, predicting attacks, calculating optimal shield alignment, and suggesting ways to maximize energy efficiency. He even improvised a hybrid tactic, combining human rapid response maneuvers with Viridionian energy manipulation. The alien commanders followed his instructions precisely. The humans and Viridionians fought as one, their cooperation forming an unprecedented alliance. Ships moved in perfect synchronization, ground defenses activated exactly when needed, and energy flows were optimized to repel enemy attacks. Ethan felt a surge of pride. Humans had always adapted to the impossible, finding solutions where others failed. Now, even in an alien world far from Earth, they were proving their value. And he, a single human among centuries-old civilizations, was at the center of it all. Finally, the rogue fleet faltered. Its ships, overwhelmed by the unexpected strategies and precise coordination, began to retreat. Energy shields pulsed, engines strained, and one by one, the enemy vessels withdrew into the darkness of space. The battle was won. Zerelia stood beside Ethan on the observation platform, her eyes filled with admiration and relief. "We have survived, thanks to you. You have not only defended our people but shown the galaxy the strength of humanity." Ethan exhaled, exhausted but exhilarated. "We did it together," he said. "Humans and Viridionians working as one. That's what made the difference." She smiled softly. "Yes. And now the Council will see clearly that humans are valuable allies, not just ceremonial mates. You have proven your worth in ways that words alone could never convey." The following days were filled with recognition and gratitude. The Council acknowledged Ethan's contributions publicly, praising his ingenuity, courage, and leadership. Alien factions that had doubted humans now began to cooperate, seeing the potential for partnership and innovation. Zerelia addressed her people, her voice strong and confident. "The bond between human and queen is not just ceremonial. It is a symbol of what we can achieve together. Humans bring qualities that complement our strengths. Together we are stronger, wiser, and capable of facing any challenge." Ethan stood beside her, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. He had never imagined that a simple human from Earth could have such an impact on an alien civilization. But humans had always risen to challenges. Their intelligence, adaptability, and courage were their greatest weapons, and they had proven it once again. Over time, Ethan began to teach human methods to the Viridionians. He shared problem-solving techniques, strategies for innovation, and ways to adapt quickly to unexpected challenges. The aliens, in turn, taught him their advanced technologies, energy manipulation, and societal wisdom. Together, they built a new era of cooperation, blending human ingenuity with Viridionian advancement. Zerelia and Ethan's bond deepened as well. It was no longer just ceremonial. They were partners in leadership, strategy, and vision. Together, they navigated politics, defended their people, and created solutions that neither species could have achieved alone. One evening, as they stood on the observation platform overlooking the glowing forests, Ethan spoke softly. "I never imagined this would be my life. Married to an alien queen, fighting alongside her, shaping the future of an entire civilization." Zerelia's eyes met his, warm and steady. "And yet it is exactly where you belong. Humans have the courage to face the impossible, and you have shown that even in a world far from home, your mind, your courage, and your heart can make a difference." Ethan smiled faintly. "Then we've only just begun." The twin moons reflected in their eyes as the city hummed below, alive with energy and hope. Viridian 9 was safe, its people united, and humans were no longer outsiders, they were partners, innovators, and heroes. Ethan Drake had survived the trials, navigated alien politics, and helped defend an entire civilization. He had proven that humans far from Earth could not only survive but thrive, shaping the future with intelligence, courage, and determination. And as he stood beside Zerelia, the alien queen he had awakened to find himself wed to, he realized something profound. Humanity was not defined by weakness or distance, but by the ability to adapt, create, and overcome any challenge, no matter how impossible it seemed. A new era had begun, and Ethan Drake, the human who had awoken alone in an alien world, was at its center, proof that even the smallest species could shine brightly in the vastness of the galaxy. The stars above Viridian 9 glittered like diamonds, but none shone brighter than the courage and ingenuity of a human who refused to fail.